Well, howdy there, Internet students. This is Mr. Hermanson here. This is lesson 7.2a, part 2. We're going to start learning how to solve equalities on this one. Inequalities. Inequalities are less than, equal, things like that. All right, so there are a couple of things that we can do that we learned when we were solving equations that can help us out a lot here. One thing is that when you're doing addition and subtraction inequalities, we're going to undo those by doing the inverse. So if it's an addition problem, we're going to subtract. If it's a subtraction problem, we're going to add. So on this first one, we want to know what are the solutions of x plus 9 is less than 12. There's some obvious solutions, like 0 would work because 0 plus 9 is 9, and that's less than 12. But we can find all of them really quickly by just taking away 9 from both sides. Then we get x is less than 3. So basically we're saying any number less than 3 will be a solution. And the way we graph that is we're going to put an open circle on the 3 right there. And then we're going to color in to the left to show everything that's less than that number. All right. Go ahead and pause right now and you solve the next one, and then you can check back and see if you were right. Well, I hope you did that one right. Okay, and now this is just an addition problem, so we're going to subtract here. And 7 minus 3 is 4, less than or equal to x. Now remember, we can switch that around. Saying 4 is less than or equal to any number is also the same as saying any number is greater than or equal to 4, like that. And then, so I'm going to put a solid dot on the 4, and then the greater than way would be this way. So I'm going to go ahead and color it in up that way. All right, why don't you go ahead and try this one and graph it. And so pause right now, and you can do it and then see if you did it right. All right, if you did it right, your answer should look like that. One thing that you can do just to check your answers, what we do is we check the boundary point, and then we check out one other point just to make sure we're right. So what they're talking about here is the boundary point 9. If I put 9 into m minus 11, it should equal -2 if I have the right boundary point. So if I do 9 minus 11, I just want to make sure that that equals -2, and it does, so that checks. And then checking one other point in the solution, so that means taking any number up here, like 10. So we're going to let m equal 10. And if I do 10 minus 11, it should work. If it doesn't work, that means we got the right boundary point, but we don't have the right rest of the solution. So this should be greater than or equal to -2. And 10 minus 11 is -1. And yes, -1 is greater than -2. So that checks also. All right. I think you could pause here, and I'll just write in the solution for you, and you can check back and see if you got it right. So once again, checking the boundary points, that means I'm going to check -4. -4 is the boundary point. And when I put -4 in for t, so -4 plus 3, it should equal -1 if I got the right boundary point. Even though that's not a solution, and we just want to check that we're in the right spot. So since -1 equals -1, that checks. And then one other point in solution, I always pick 0 if it's part of it, because 0 is easy to check. So if I put 0 in for t and do 0 plus 3, that should be greater than -1. And of course, 3 is greater than -1. So yeah, that checks out also. All right. Problem number 4, we're going to actually make an equation to represent this problem. And it says the hard drive on your computer has a capacity of 250 gigabytes. you've used 115 gigabytes. You want to save some home videos on your hard drive. What are the possible sizes that you can save? So, so let's say M is the memory. And if you take the memory of your videos, maybe I'll use V. V makes even more sense here. But if I do V plus the 115 that I already have in there, that has to be less than or equal to my so now if I just subtract my 115 from my 250, I find out that I have up to 135 gigabytes of storage left. And then, so if I'm going to graph that, now actually, you know, you can't go less than 0. So part of my answer would be that it's going to be a positive number less than or equal to 135. But I'm just going to make a quick graph of that. It could be exactly 135. And then I'm going to go this way. And then to check to see if you got that right, if you do 135 plus 115, that's the boundary point, 135. That should be exactly equal to your capacity, which is 250 if you got the right number, which we do. And then another point in the solution is any number that's less than 135, like maybe 100. If I do 100 plus 115, that's 215, and that's definitely less than 135, so that checks also. All right. Go ahead, you see if you can come up with an inequality to represent this problem, and you can check back and see if you got it right. Your answer should look something like that. Now, of course, when you check one other point in the solution, you could pick any point you want. I chose 10 because 10 is greater than 8, but whatever you pick is fine. All right, so here's your homework. Go ahead and do that, and then you're going to submit that to me online, and we'll talk later.